Yeah, you and me both. When I get out of here, yeah, right? Yeah. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Michael. Hey, Tom. I got your email. Well, yeah, I know who that is. I know who that is. That's why I was like, huh. Yes, you are. Yep. Yes. Yep. Yep.
Or is it this one? Maybe try mine.
Yours, it was always on at Lisa's.
Is it this one?
Yeah, I think it's that one.
Okay, here you go. Musical chairs.
Yeah.
Here, I'll put this one.
Oh, you lit up that time, Jeremy. We didn't hear you. It's a little square lit up that time.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's it. That's almost full.
Try. I warned him that it wasn't working.
Anything, Jeremy? Should I call him on my cell phone? Hey, Miss.
Oh, we could do that.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Never used to be, but wouldn't surprise me if it changed something and I didn't hear it. I think they kind of started because there's different.
Hey, I saw you lit up one time, but I can't see. We can't hear you on this end. Yeah. No, you can't even hear us.
Oh, I heard him.
No.
Oh,
See you, but I can't hear you.
now we can hear you. Can you hear us now?
It's not over the computer yet.
Okay. We can hear you over the computer. Let's,
That's what the,
I can hear you over, let's try something with the speakers here. We can hear you over the computer now.
go into settings and see if I can.
Go to microphone. Try, follow system settings, try that top one.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I didn't see that.
Can you hear us now?
I saw it, yeah.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Okay. I'll hang up, yep, bye.
Thank you.
Think I'm in the right place?
I think so. For the infrastructure committee?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're all good.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
First timer.
Welcome.
Good. Good. Okay. All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to Infrastructure and Facilities meeting. Today is March 13th, 2025. Time is 5:15, and we have a quorum of members present, so I will call the meeting to order. And we will start with agenda item number 1, the consent agenda.
A motion to approve as presented.
All right, I have a motion to approve from Alder Neal. Second from Martins. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And that passes 5-0. Move on to agenda item number 2, discussion and possible action on parking restrictions on Hamilton Street between 10th Street and 12th Street. Any discussion here?
This is
Alder Neal?
one block away from our house. I know exactly where it is there, and I would move to approve this.
Okay.
I'll second.
A motion from Alder Neal, second from Alder Larson. Any further discussion? I also drove it this afternoon, and I can see where the problem would be. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And none are opposed. That carries 5-0. Move on to agenda item number 3, discussion and possible action on parking restriction on 12th Street between Hamilton Street and Steuben Street.
I'll make the motion to accept.
Alder Larson, motion to approve.
Second.
Second from Alder Watson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None are opposed. That passes 5-0. Move on to agenda item number 4, discussion and possible action on bicycle use on sidewalk on Randolph Street and Burrick Avenue. TJ, I think we kind of talked about this last time, but
Exactly. We
Yep.
discussed briefly this proposal, and we're going to bring it back this month. So I attached a map with our proposal to this, allowing bicycles to use the sidewalk when rounding the corner going from Randolph to Burrick as proposed in the Safe Routes to School plan. For the most part, it would use existing infrastructure except for westbound bikers. We were going to add a 12-foot wide driveway style ramp to get onto the sidewalk, and then they would enter back onto the road using the parking lot driveway ramp. So if there's any questions.
I move to approve.
all right. A motion from Alder Larson, second from Alder Neal. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None are opposed. That passes 5-0. And we'll move on to agenda item, now I lost it.
Aye.
Agenda item number 5, discussion on collaboration with NTC for the development of a burn tower. Jeremy, can you hear us? And
I can.
okay, you want to have a little talk or open it up here?
Sure. So I'll just start by saying I wish I could be there in person, so I appreciate you guys having me on this platform to join and talk about this a little bit. So I kind of wish I would have worded that a little different than just a burn tower. What we're really looking at is a training facility, something where we can train our firefighters on a consistent basis in the Wausau area as well as in the county. There's not a training tower / burn tower in this entire Marathon County. And, we've been collaborating quite a bit on a lot of different venues with our Central Technical College. And this is just another example of them willing to collaborate with us and make something happen closer to home rather than the facility that's in Merrill or Lincoln County. Something where we can stay in service, still train. We train in our stations right now, but, that becomes pretty difficult depending on weather, space, parking, and all those other things that are going on at our 3 fire stations. It also gives us the ability for live burns, something that we don't get a lot of exposure to anymore. We don't get a lot of structures or vacant buildings like we used to that we can simulate fires i.e. live burns. So it's just something that I've had my eye on, and I've met with leadership at NTC a few times on this, and what we come to is they're willing to move forward on this project with funding and to help move forward, and what the ask on our part as the city was to maybe find some property to do this on, and that's why I always wanted to get this on the agenda to start discussions with all of you for some great ideas on where we could maybe start this, or if we can or can't do it, I guess I should say. And it's it's definitely something that's needed on the training end of things, and I think you've all heard me speak since I've become the fire chief just over a year ago. One of my goals was to turn our city into an ISO 1 city. Right now we're ranked at a number 2, and that's your insurance services office, which if we ever got to a 1, we'd be one of the few. I think we'd be the 12th or the 13th city in the state of Wisconsin that would be a 1 at that point, and this would be one of those things that would give us necessary points to get closer to that goal. So it's not the deciding factor, but it's definitely another plus that goes along with being able to train our firefighters from the newest ones to the veterans and use a facility that's ideal for the different types of training that we can't do inside of our fire stations.
Okay, I'll open it up. Alder Neal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So what is the time frame to accomplish this, and what are the budgetary implications?
Sure. So it's in the infancy stage here. Right now, I would, the leadership at NTC has reported that they put aside some money in their capital for 25-26 to move forward with this. So I don't know if I necessarily have a date that I'd want to start or end or anything quite detailed like that, other than the fact that I'm trying to look for ways to do this, and why I've come to you guys is instead of looking for property to purchase, looking for property that the city already owns, so that we're not affecting the budget, and trying to keep within the budget line so that I don't have to ask for money or things like that. And the idea behind it would be to start small, start with this training tower, and in future years kind of have an area where I could see future growth to this training facility, like classrooms, bathrooms, maybe even something where our recruits can have a ambulance there, or a place for our apprentices to stay and respond to and get experience. But those are all things that are dreams of mine for future years. Right now it's just about starting small and staying within the budget and starting with a training tower. So
Okay, thank you.
Alder Watson.
Would this be something that would go on like the new lot or is it like you can't use the, where the greenhouse was? Like, is that a potential, or like, do you have potential ideas of where this might go?
yeah. So ideally, obviously NTC would probably like it closer to their campus or somewhere near the highway, because they have props that they keep at the Merrill site, where they would be hauling these back and forth, or we would be asking for them to go back and forth, or maybe another fire department. So something close to the highway, and or something close to NTC's campus in Wausau. Some of the ones that Eric and I and the mayor have talked a little bit about some different properties, and some that I kind of like, and things that go into play is thinking about neighborhoods that don't want a lot of traffic or fire trucks making noise and stuff. And the property that's off of 84th that the PD has their storage shed on, I was looking at that property and talking about future growth there. I was looking at the old incubator property a little bit and what we could do there, as far as space and being away from, distracting drivers going down a main road like on Grand Avenue. There would be enough room on Grand Avenue, but then there wouldn't be enough room to build a station if we ever got to that point. So, plus, you'd be causing a lot of rubberneckers, car accidents possibly, and that sort of thing. So I kind of want to be off the beaten path about visual for, people driving by. We looked, I talked with Eric a little bit about the property right behind the new water treatment plant. But I learned that there's wells underground there and stuff, and we don't want to mess with anything like that could cause future problems. So I started looking at different properties that the city owns, and there's a lot out in the industrial park that I can tell just looking online. But preferably for me, it would be something I've really been focused on that property that PD's got their storage unit on, as well as the Cleveland Ave property where the old incubator was. And there was another one that Eric and I had talked about, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I can't remember either, Jeremy. We ran through a few of them, but, yeah, and I think, Jeremy, you said that you were looking for something with a minimum of 2 acres, right? That would be the minimum that you needed?
Yeah, minimum, if we're gonna just focus on ISO standards and getting
Yeah.
points, they require 2 acres with a training tower on it at a minimum to get the points that you can earn from them. So a minimum of 2, but ideally, for future growth, I'd like to see something with a few more acres if we ever got to the point where we started adding different things to this training facility. And as we talked, that was the other thing that just popped in my head. That third property was the old VA clinic that's kind of connected to the Station 2 property over off of 32nd Avenue.
Sure.
That building's been for sale for quite some time, and it's been dropping in price. It's not ideal because it's pretty close to a neighborhood, but it's also ideal in the fact that it's close to the highway and close to a fire station.
Okay. So what, I guess one of my questions is what part of, would NTC, would they build it for us or?
So right now they've secured funding and they are committed to, helping out with equipment as we move forward. They're pretty open to what that funding would be used for, and as we move forward, how we determine the needs and how we go about it. I'll be honest that, pricing a training tower it's very open as far as, dollar signs. We could keep it rather inexpensive, or we can get very expensive depending on how fancy we want to get and the different things that you can use. So I see it being, something that's on the lower end and usable and not so much technology involved, but those are all things that once we have a spot picked out, I would move forward further with our committee that we meet with NTC with once a month and talk about what we'd like to do there. The other part of it is for future too, is if this is the only one in Marathon County, there's always the potential that the partnership between NTC and the city of Wausau would be other departments coming in to use it and paying, a certain fee like they do with the Merrill facility for NTC for departments to come and use it, and it could be a source of revenue there for us. But I don't really want to put the cart before the horse either.
Sure. Any other questions?
I would make a motion to approve this initial phase of the project.
Okay, I don't think we have an agenda as for action.
Okay.
But this is kind of a discussion, but it's good to know where you stand on it, and I will agree with that. And I think the next steps would be probably start bringing some properties before us, or Jeremy, I guess.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, and I wasn't sure if that would be something you guys would want from me, or if you would want to go through city-owned properties and give me, a list of ones that we could choose from if we got to that point, or how we would go, which is why I wanted to bring this discussion forward was, I don't want to just lock in one and act and, come to you and act like that's our only option. So I kind of wanted to get all your opinions and get the discussion going and get some great ideas as far as what you're all open to for committing city property.
Okay. Alder Watson?
I guess I would rather have you bring back ones that fit your bill, because if it's a minimum of 2 acres, and then I would want to see like what your ideal would look like too, so I mean, I don't know exactly how many acres you would want it to be if you had your own way, but that's what I would like, is like just you to sort of select ones that you think would fit with your vision and then bring them to us.
Yeah, and as I look forward into future years, and even when I'm not around anymore, and the next chief has other issues, I look at the growth for the city of Wausau going out to the west, and the idea that one day we're probably gonna need another, fire station moving out that direction, just because of the fact that, you know, our response times are gonna be so long responding to some of these places that have been annexed in. You know, for example, Great Lakes Cheese and Wausau Chemical, it's already a response time that I'm not comfortable with as far as NFPA standards go and how long it takes us to get there from our nearest station. So I right now I'm leaning towards the property that the PD has, their storage, I forget what they store in there, I think it's evidence storage. But I can't say that for sure, but I think there's more than 8 acres there. And it's kind of off the beaten path, but it's close to the highway, and it gives us potential for future growth as the city grows to the west. And I look at response times for emergency services.
Sure. Yeah, I think maybe like a top 3 and rank them yourself and bring them before us. Alder Larson?
I can for sure do that.
Do you have something?
No.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, I think we'll leave it at that and look forward to talking more about this in the future.
Right on. So just one more question. So if I go get 3 properties, do you guys want me to bring it back to infrastructure committee, or would there be a different committee to move to?
I mean, we can start the discussion and then go from there as far as taking it probably to economic development, see if they have any need for it, and finance. And since you guys mainly report to public health and safety, they might want to see it too. I don't know. I have a feeling this is going to touch all the committees.
Yeah.
But I'd be okay starting the conversation here.
I will plan on having something for you guys on your next agenda next month.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yep. Okay, we'll move on to agenda item number 6, update on the proposed fleet maintenance facility and possible location. Just got this one, Eric.
Yeah, so it was a request to give an update to the committee, maybe every month here ongoing, just to kind of keep this at the forefront and what we're looking at. I know there's been some discussions at the Finance Committee about the MBX property over on Cherry Street as a possible option. That property's still being looked at. They're doing some further investigation background on that site as well. There are some other properties and other options that we continue to look at. As you know, in the past, we've looked at the Menards Plaza property that they weren't willing to give up, and we looked at with Barrientos, there was probably 18 different properties throughout the city. So we continue to look for properties to hopefully narrow it down and actually find a site, you know, that we can move forward with. So
The Cherry Street property, wasn't that one you were gonna kind of bid on and what?
yeah, it's a property that we're doing our due diligence on right now.
Yes.
And then I think that we'll keep you up to date here on that, and then ultimately it will go to finance, which it has a couple other times as far as discussion and stuff, if it looks like it's going to be a feasible fit. I think the one challenge is the parking lot that's on it right now. So I think after we do some further site investigation on that property, I think we'll be reaching back out to the owner of that and having a discussion before it comes back as well.
That guy on West Street, he reached out to me a while back. You haven't heard from him at all?
I haven't. Yeah, we had a discussion. I asked him to come back with a price, and I hadn't heard back from him.
Okay,
since.
thank you,
So,
Eric.
yep.
Any other questions? Alder Neal?
I don't want to be the fly in the ointment or anything, but I'm a little concerned about the Cherry Street location as, potentially, prime riverfront, development
Correct,
property. We've got, eyes on the river walkway and along there. And, for future development, it's a downtown Riverside, plot of land. So that'd be kind of a hard sell, I think.
Okay.
You know, if going, like talking maybe to the ED department or something, and yeah, because there could be some real interest in that property if we were to gain, you know, possession of it, so.
Yep. All right.
Okay. Any other more questions? All right. I don't have any action on this one either. So that brings us to the end of our meeting. Take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Just a second.
Did we miss a chance for public comment? I was unsure if you
On-
were just addressing the council or not.
Yeah, you probably did. We haven't,
Gracious to me and-
we haven't adjourned yet, so yeah, if you want to make your comment.
Thank you so
Yep.
much. My name is Josh. I live on Hamilton, on the corner of Hamilton and 12th. Thank you guys for the time you sacrificed to do this. This is just a reminder to me that many things happen behind the scenes that I'm not aware of, so thank you for your time. I have one question in particular. The defense for the move on Hamilton Street had a lot to do with the width of the street. I was curious, though, as I looked up plow sizes today, if anyone knows what the size of the city plows are. Because we were given a space that on average would be left after cars parking on both sides, but as I'm looking online, plows could be anywhere between 10 foot and 14 foot, and that would be quite a big difference in making this decision. A 10 to 11 foot, even 12 foot plow, I don't think it would be necessary to make a change. 13, 14 foot plow, then you're talking about a necessary change. So given that the numbers we were given had to do with the spatial restriction, I'm curious if we've looked into the length of the plow as well.
Perhaps we could hear from Dustin on that?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, we can,
Yeah, so our plows vary, but pretty consistently, like the machine that runs that route has a 12-foot plow blade on the front, and then we run a 10-foot wing on the side. So we're pushing, it's at an angle so you don't get the full width. We're probably 16 foot wide or whatever when we're plowing through there.
right.
And that second one can be raised and lowered, or?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you. That was a legitimate curiosity I had. So my concerns, I have 2 young children. I live right on the corner of the street, so I kind of have a dual perspective on how cars go up and down. It's one of the only little inclines in the area, and so many people walk up and down it so that they can get a little cardio boost during their walk. So Alderman Neal, as you said, you live close. So there is probably more foot traffic than car traffic on that street. There's not, I don't think, really too much reason for anyone to drive down that street unless you're a resident. So the driving effect really affects foot traffic or residents. My concern as a parent and as an observer of traffic is that that street becomes much less safe for people, both children and walkers, if we limit the cars to one side. As a case study this morning, both my wife and I's car parked on the same side, which would be what would in effect happen if that restriction was placed. As I was sitting in my living room, I heard a car slowly come up one side, hit the corner, see that there was much space to go down the street, and then hit the gas. And so people quite often do that. I think Wes would be able to attest to that. He's also on the corner. People are coming either up the street on either side. They're looking around the corner. They're seeing if they have space to play a little bit, and then they're zipping down the street. With the number of kids on the street, I do think that affects the safety of people both walking that street and children like my own. I also wonder if we have considered a non-year-round option. It seems initially to me, if I might say respectfully, excessive to make a year-round restriction for something that's affecting people half a dozen times a year. Grateful for the work of the snowplows, but in general, how many days a year is this restriction necessary? And if it's less than a dozen, are we making a year-round restriction that affects residents on a daily basis in order to be more effective for a plow less than 2 full weeks a year, right? So I would, if the decision of the council is yes, we need this restriction, I would really request we look at a seasonal restriction, maybe December through February. Those are times, as you think about foot traffic, that there would be less foot traffic anyways. And so as far as the danger to pedestrians or children, you're not addressing that issue. And then by the time spring, summer rolls around, there may or may not be those inconvenient spring days where you get a heavy snowfall. But I think, at least for myself, and we have a small neighborhood, I think this has been a warning that, hey, if something doesn't change, then something might change, right? And so I think with the current overnight parking restrictions where you have to park even odd, there are already things in place to restrict vehicles being in the way of plows. The residents have now been given a notice that this is on the city's radar. I would ask for a chance for, given that notice and the current parking restrictions, us to see if we can make changes ourselves before we implement a year-round restriction that would affect us on a daily basis.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
We already took action on it. It will go to council before we get a final vote on it, so we can make amendments to it yet. Right now, it's going forward as it was written in the agenda, but we can discuss it further or bring it back after council has had a chance to talk to it about it.
Sorry, I'm new here, so is any of that represented in the minutes, or is that represented in your memories and you take into account?
We will make sure it's in the minutes, and we will make sure your alder knows about it and brings it up. I'm confident he will, and it may come. We may end up bringing it back here to make some of those changes you mentioned.
Well, thank you for giving me the chance to speak out
Yep.
of turn.
Yep.
There's a step called reconsideration that we can take. I guess anybody in the winning side of a vote or whatever can ask for reconsideration and just talk
Yeah.
about it again.
Yep. Or we can do it that way. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. No problem. All right. Alder Larson, you still got a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Okay. Got a second? Second from Neil. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone.